Like, as much as there's like, why do people hate on this brand to this day? Back in the day, it was just like, if you're not kicking, you're not tricking.
Yes.
Style is how you do it, not what you're doing, all this stuff, you know what I mean? And like, that really just had an impact on me.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is a professional tricker turned music producer. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Nelson Zuniga. What's up, man?
What's up, dude? What's up?
Thanks for making this happen. I heard yesterday we had to push it because you had the chance to like work with a producer or something, or?
Yeah. One of my homies, we kind of like met through the internet, you know, kind of same as tricking. I followed his music for a long time, and then we met at a festival a couple years back, and I saw he was going to be in town, so I hit him up, and then now we got some collabs going.
Nice, man. Super dope. Where are you at right now? Are you still calling like Northern California home, or?
Yeah. I'm like North San Jose now instead of East San Jose.
Okay. Bet. Sounds good. And that's kind of like, I guess, where you moved to, because you originally were from New York back in days, right? Or where did you call home originally?
Yeah. Brooklyn all my life. And then we actually came out for Jam Gathering, one of the first Jam Gatherings, like 2019. And we stayed with the Loop Kicks guys first.
Oh,
and they all, like we got there on New Year's Eve. We were chilling, you know, enjoying the holiday. And then everyone gets home from like a rave they were at, and they're like, you guys should move to California. And then Mike McGuire, like a month later, was like, dude, I'm going. And we just packed up the car and left.
Yeah, that's crazy. That was like a long time ago, right? Like, damn, almost a decade or something like that. It's crazy.
Or I said 2019. It was like 2013.
Yeah,
it was way further back.
Long time ago. That is crazy, man. Well, that's dope, man. Thanks for making the time to come on here. I've been wanting to get you on for a minute because I feel like we're in that generation now where like some of the newer kids they may not know about everyone that was in the scene back when we were in it. And you're definitely one of those like pivotal figures, you know?
Yeah, thank you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking recently about how many of these kids know who Sesh is.
Bro, tell me about it, right?
Probably none, right? Like none of them.
There's even like in parkour, a lot of people like some do, but a lot don't know who Daniel Labaka is. And it's like, it's crazy. He was like the Michael Jordan of the sport back in the day, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And so like, when did you actually start I guess let's go like martial arts journey first. Like, how did you start martial arts and how'd you get into tricking or introduced to it?
Yeah, so martial arts is around like my 12th birthday, and my grandma just surprised me on my birthday. She was like, I signed you up for karate, you're going. And it was cool because I always wanted to do it, but for one reason or another, it just never happened. But on my 12th birthday, she surprised me, went in, did the private lesson, fell in love right away. I was there every day. And my little brother actually went with me too. And then he quit. So they upgraded my program because he quit. And then that gave me access to like this acrobatics class.
Okay.
It's really just like forward rolls and like cartwheels and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've always been able to cartwheel, but one day they taught us butterfly kick.
Of course.
And and I immediately was just spamming it. I was like, yo, look at this. And I would show everyone, like, check out this thing we learned today. This is sick. I want to do this. And one of my homies that was taking karate with me at the time, he just found a bunch of tricking videos on YouTube. I think through like watching forums videos.
Yeah.
He started watching like forums videos, and then he found like some samplers. And then he just one day was like, yo, check this out. This is what they taught us. It's called tricking. Let's do this. And then we just tricked all the time. We just kept going to the park and finding gyms and just taught ourselves how to do stuff.
That's crazy. Yeah, butterfly kick and aerial, they were like the gateway drug to tricking back in the days. It's like,
oh, big time.
So many doors.
I was obsessed. I couldn't stop doing it. I was doing it everywhere. I was like, look at this thing.
And so like, I guess, was that like really early on into your martial arts career? So did your traditional and your tricking kind of parallel each other as far as growth is concerned?
Yeah, it was probably like 2 years into martial arts, something like that.
Okay.
Because I remember starting in 2005 with karate, and then I started tricking like 2007.
Crazy. And what was it like over, I guess, at those like beginning origin steps of your career? Like, who did you train with? Did you just train in that class with other people, or like, how did you start venturing out? Yeah,
so we did that class at first, but I kind of hated it until they taught us butterfly kick. I was like, I don't want to do forward rolls. Like, I'm not good at this shit. I'm not made for gymnastics.
Yeah.
If I was made for gymnastics, I'd be doing gymnastics, you know?
Yeah.
But then the butterfly kick came in, and I was like obsessed. Manny Brown was actually my instructor.
No way. At the studio?
Yeah,
Holy
he was at the studio. Yeah, he taught me like in that acrobatics class all the time, and he would also just kind of get me to try stuff before I was even ready. So I kind of got injured a lot, but he taught us a lot of really dope stuff.
Man, talking about like people not knowing who Sesh is, like people probably have no idea who Manny Brown is. Like one of the original like B-twist swing through gainers I ever saw in my whole life.
I think it was, I mean, as far as I know, we've always regarded that as like the first swing through, you know, like tricking swing through type thing.
And he was doing crazy carry through combos and stuff like way back in the day before anyone else. Like,
dude, I used to just like watch him do stuff around the school. And there's one day where he's like not teaching all day. He's just sitting and stretching, just kind of taking his sweet time. And then he just stands up and he does hook 3 GMSs. So like out of nowhere.
So crazy. What's wild is he just relocated out here to LA, so I just got to like see him for the first time like 2 weeks ago at Jam. Like he just came by to teach a private lesson. So.
That's sick. Nice. Yeah, he's done like a lot of acting stuff too, so it makes sense. He should be out there.
Yeah, we're gonna get him on the JAMCast because obviously he's a legend in the game. Like so
definitely.
Crazy. So like obviously like having someone like Manny to look up to, especially in the years that you were around in the scenes, pretty amazing. Like honestly, most people don't get exposure like that to someone that was like a pioneer of the sport. So
yeah, it was pretty cool. I didn't really like at the time know, and then when I started going to gatherings and stuff, and people were like Manny Brown, you know, I was like, oh yeah, tight, yeah, I guess, you know.
So crazy. And so like, did you actually compete on the sport karate circuit as well in like, I guess, you know, actual martial arts?
Yeah. I was I loved forms. But my instructors are kind of very fighting heavy, so we would have to do all of them. But like I would just love to do forms. I did NASCAR for a while. I was actually on the Amerikick team, the Amerikick competition team, you know. But that was pretty short lived, you know. We did like tournaments here and there, like all throughout my come up until black belt, and then when I hit black belt, I did like maybe like a year and a half on NASCAR, but not even like the whole circuit, just like, you know, as many as I could.
Yeah, I'd see you occasionally in like on stage tricking battles, like where they'd have like tricking battles and you'd be in the gi and stuff. So yeah.
Well, once I figured out that was the thing, that's all I wanted to do. I would like kind of just try to rush through my sparring matches so I could go trick, you know, because we weren't allowed to trick. Like you could get hurt. Don't flip. You got a fight coming up, you know.
So crazy. And so like obviously like this passion for tricking started kind of like early on, I guess. How many days a week were you training? Like I guess traditional, and then how many days a week were you training tricking?
So in the beginning, it was like pretty much just straight karate. Like when I started like getting close to my black belt and stuff, I'd been tricking for a while, but there weren't a lot of gyms in New York. So we would just trick at the karate school whenever we could. I remember there always being a Monday after class session, but that was like at the end of the day, we'd have to clean the whole school and then we could trick for like maybe an hour, you know? Yeah, so I came up with like a lot of that. And then once we found like a consistent gym out here, then I was just at the gym as much as I could. But in New York, it's kind of hard because the gyms are all really far, really expensive, or they absolutely do not have an open gym. They just classes only, no open gym. You try to explain to them like what you want to do and they're like, no.
Yeah, 100%. And so like what gym did you primarily train at? Because this is like before Brooklyn Zoo opened up, like, and I guess what was it, 5-star back in the day? Like
yeah, so 5-star was a big chapter, but at first there was just this like really rinky-dink gym called Hits and Hoops. And it was actually like a sports party thing. It's like a place where kids can throw their birthday parties and stuff, you know, batting cages, basketball courts, but they had a spring floor and they had like one hour session a week or something.
Crazy.
And we would just travel super far on the train to get to the spot, and we would just trick as much as we could there. But it was like the worst gym, so old, so dirty, spring floor broken, like it was terrible.
Was Aviator in New York also, or?
Yeah, Aviator's New York. So that was like, there was kind of like phases.
Yeah.
It was like Hits and Hoops was like where we just started out. It was me and my boy Raul. He's the one that kind of put me onto all the YouTube videos because he was at the karate school with me. And then we would just go trick as much as we could, like at the park or after school at the karate school or whatever. But there was Hits and Hoops, and then he found about Aviator through like some of the other New York trickers that he met, because he was on TT, like super heavy.
Yeah.
I was lurking, you know. I was on TT, but I was lurking. But he was like in it, talking to everyone, you know, like had social media friends and whatever. So then we found out about Aviator. We went there. There was a whole Aviator saga. And then some of the guys like Mike McGuire, Jason Mello, they started working at 5 Star. They started teaching a tricking class. So then that became like the big tricking hub. But 5 Star was like an hour and a half for me.
Wow.
Yeah, so once I could drive, I would just like drive out there and just spend like 4 hours of my day traveling to and from the gym, you know?
Crazy. Yeah, I remember 5 Star eventually became the home to like all the Dreadnought gatherings and stuff.
Yeah.
Became like a huge pivotal part in New York before, I guess, Zoo opened, so.
Yeah, so there was that. There's the whole 5 Star chapter. And then it was just really far, so, you know, it wasn't like the best gym for us. Then there was a karate school / like gymnastics center that opened up called Empire State Athletics. Shout out ESA. Yeah, that was like the best gym. That was the best setup we ever had. It was just us and like 2 of like our karate homies that were on the circuit. Like it was their home school, and they told us like, yo, we have a spring floor, you guys can trick here. And we just went there as much as we could. And then that kind of like fizzled out after a Dreadnought gathering. I think the gym owner's wife didn't like that we spent the night there. We weren't supposed to spend the night. He was super cool. He loved it. She was not down. They were co-owners, you know. So that kind of fizzled out. And then right around then is when Zoo popped up. So then we would be at Zoo all the time.
Crazy, man. Crazy. And so like this is a term that's always been funny to me, especially because in my opinion, tricking is supposed to be based on originality. But the term OC is like a term that I know you're going to laugh at too, which is there was a point in time where people were like OC combo. And I used to always be like, all of your tricking combos should be OCs, technically speaking.
Yeah. So the original OC started with Alex Hunter. Yes. I'm pretty sure. He like coined the term because, you know, we were just doing weird stuff. But the original rules were that it cannot have a hook kick. Yes. If you do a combo and there's no spin hook kick in it, it's an OC. But over time, that kind of got like bastardized, you know. People throwing hook kicks, they do like a switch stance or some groundwork, and like, oh, original, you know.
Yeah, it's changed so much, man. It's really funny. But I mean, along the lines of that, there's like a few moves that you've been like pretty synonymous with, and so like I would just love to like kind of hear your backstory of how you like started training them and stuff. So obviously, I'm gonna ask about 2 specifically. First one I'll ask about is the whack knife. So how did you, I guess, start training the whack knife, and what was your like thinking behind it? Because eventually you delved into this whole realm of whack knife variations where, in my opinion, you've done more variations than anyone that I've seen.
I think so too. I tried keeping count one day and I couldn't do it. But so, all right, everyone thinks I invented it. It was not me. Yes. I did not invent the whack knife. It was Psycho Mike, Mike Marcelino, Loop Kicks OG. There's like the first Psycho Mike sampler that blew up that was on like Bylang. Like he unveils the whack knife, you know? And I always thought it was cool, but I could never figure it out. And then when I first started getting into it heavy, I think I saw Towels talking about it on his story or something. Okay. And he just like was like, don't try. And I just did it with less energy, and I just figured out the whack knife. And then I guess in learning it, I just like the 2-foot landing kind of felt easier, you know? And then that just became like my go-to thing. People thought it was cool, so I ran with it. And then all my tricking career, I've kind of like tried to take a trick that I'm doing and then think of like, oh, what's the weirdest way I can do this? Like when I was real young, I learned pop flash accidentally because I was like, oh, what if you did a touchdown rise off 2 feet? And then I just jumped into the flash kick, you know what I mean? Yeah, so like I would just kind of run with it, see how many variations I could do. But it just felt cool. That's really that's the main thing. It felt cool. Not a lot of people were doing it. So I just kept running with it, and I was like, let's see what else we can do with this thing.
Is there a variation that you think is the most difficult or the one you're most proud of?
The whack knife round is, you know, you got to be real clean with it. Seen a lot of bad whack knife rounds.
Yes, agreed. You don't see 3 kicks, yeah.
Yeah, I think my favorite one that I ever did was I did full whack knife.
Oh, sick.
Yeah, and I only did that like a couple times. There's like a clip where I fall on it in a sampler, and that's like the only clip I have of it. but I think that's my favorite one.
Crazy. And like, what is the secret to it in your opinion? I know you kind of alluded to it being like, don't try, but for some reason it's a really difficult trick for a lot of people. Like, I guess to figure out the hips on it, you know, like.
Yeah, don't try is a big thing. Like, it's not a high energy move. And then I don't really know. It just always kind of clicked for me once I heard like the don't try advice. But a lot of people have asked me to like help them learn it, and I kind of approach it a different way with everyone, because you just have to kind of make it make sense to them. Okay. But my biggest tip is if you're trying to learn it, do the wushu jump. You know, the wushu, one leg and then back down.
Yeah.
That's basically it. It's tornado setup and then wushu jump.
100%. That makes sense. Okay. And then obviously one of the other moves you're synonymous with over your career has to be the Donut Boy. So what is the story behind that?
All right. Yeah, that one's actually kind of funny. So before we had a gym regularly, we would go to JO's. I don't know if you know JO. It's like New York martial arts OG.
Yeah.
He would open up his school to us, and it was just, you know, old school martial arts dojo, just wood floor, and then the shittiest mats you've ever felt on top, you know?
I know that gym for sure.
Yeah, it's so bad. So we were, this was when Kyle and Sesh were making the Lone Star popular.
Yes.
You know, this is like right when the Lone Star was popping off. So I was like, all right, what if you swing into a Lone Star? But I was really bad at flipping. I didn't learn how to flip until way later in my career. Like, it was mostly just like pseudo flip. Like, it looks like you're flipping, but you never actually invert, you know? So I tried to just swing into Lone Star, and then the Donut Boy came out. And I didn't think anything of it, but everyone at the session was like, yo, that's some new shit, that's new. And then Neil Toussaint actually named it. He was like, call it the Donut Boy, because all the boy names were hype at that time, you know? Yes. Rocket Boy, Pizza Boy.
100%.
Yes. So total accident, and then Neil was like, call it the Donut Boy, and I ran with it.
Crazy. That's so crazy. And it's kind of interesting what you said, like how you didn't really do a lot of flips like back in the day. Was that because of like fear? Was it because of athleticism? Like, what was the reason why you didn't do a lot of inverts originally, I guess?
Yeah, I think it's mostly athleticism. I was fat. I was, you know, a super fat tricker. People know. I was heavy. So like flipping and twisting were not my strong suits, but I did martial arts like every day. So kicking I loved, and it came pretty naturally. Crazy. So I would just stick to that and try to do like creative stuff, just mostly because I couldn't do the high level stuff. That's kind of where my weird creative style came from.
Hell yeah. And like one aspect of tricking that you've always been involved in, which not a lot of people venture into, is definitely battling. Like as far as I can remember, you've battled, whether it's, like I said, on NASCA stages to, you know, battles at gatherings. You even flew out and were in the original Trickstar series I held way back in the days. What was your first battle and what drew you towards battling?
My first battle, I think, was at the karate school. Like, we had like in-house tournaments, and they held like a tricking battle because there was enough of us, I guess, that liked it, you know. And I did something like that, and I think I won. There weren't honestly that many trickers at my karate school. It was like me and Raul, and like we were really trying to push it. And then the demo team kids would learn some stuff, but we were like, tricking is our thing, you know. Like karate kind of took a backseat. So yeah, I did that, and then my first big battle was American Internationals. Okay. Like 2008 or 9 or something. And I had to battle Alex Hunter in the first round. And I didn't even know he was around my age. I thought he was like a grown-ass man, you know? So yeah. I was like, I see he pulls up with this full beard. I'm like, yo, that's Alex Hunter. And then I see his name in the junior division. I was like, damn, he's in my division. Yeah, that video is actually on YouTube. It's super low-key. If you look up Ill Reality American Internationals, you should be able to find it.
Crazy.
Shout out Vince and Ish.
Yeah, Vince Johnson, dog. Hell yeah. That's crazy, man. And so, like, obviously, like, battling isn't an aspect that the majority of trickers venture into, to be honest with you. Like, what is it about battling that kept you going, and what was its appeal to you?
I think it was the karate aspect, like the performance, you know? Like, I was super into doing forms, and, like, I was on the demo team, and, like, I liked being in front of a crowd and, like, getting to flex a little bit, you know? So, like, I like that, and then once I found out you could win some money, I was like, oh, even better, you know? But I think mostly it's just, like, the performance aspect, you know? Especially, like, seeing Danny and Anis, like, they were super into battling at that time, and I looked up to them hella, and when I saw their battle personality and like the way you can get into it and do the call outs, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
That's hella funny. Besides the one against Alex Hunter, is there like a favorite battle that you've been a part of, I guess?
Favorite battle I've been a part of?
Or one where you feel like you just went off?
Yeah. All right. There's an American International one year that didn't get filmed. I beat Micah in a battle, and that was my hypest moment.
Hell yeah.
Like fair and square won. There's been some debatable calls, in different things, but like I battled him at Dreadnought, and I won that one too. But I didn't really think I won, but for whatever reason, the judges gave it to me, and that was like the subject of a lot of controversy. But then there was another one. Yeah. But then there was another one where I won that. But actually, I think my actual favorite was the first big NASCAR one that I won. It was like American Internationals 2010 or something, and I made it to the finals against Jacob Pinto and Austin Crane.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it was like a 3-way tie, and then I did the double donut boy. It's like not really a double, but at the time, no one was doing it, so I got away with the under rotation,
Yeah, 100%. It's hella funny. Oh, well, that's super cool, man. And then like obviously like you kind of mentioned it that you were like looking up to Danny and Anise back then, but like who were some of the other like inspirational people, I guess, A, that you looked up to, and then B, like was there anyone else that you got to train with during these years, or were you just training solo sessions a lot of times besides Raul?
Yeah, so me and Raul would definitely train the most outside of the school, and then just the sessions at the karate school would be with like all my friends who were taking class or on the demo team or whatever. But when we got to like the Aviator saga, we met all the Long Island guys. So we met like Mike McGuire, Crazy Asian, John McGuire, like all those guys. And then me and Mike got close. And then he would be the one that would go with me to like 5-star all the time.
Okay.
Because like I was young, I didn't have a car. I couldn't get around New York without train, you know what I mean? So he would like literally drive to Brooklyn to pick me up all the way out to Long Island, go to the gym, drop me back off in Brooklyn, and then drive home to Queens. Like we were really dedicated.
That's crazy. And so like obviously like we kind of mentioned in the beginning of when you eventually moved out to Los Angeles was because of that. Like how did you, I guess, get intertwined with like loop kicks back in the day? Because there was like, I'd say like another part of your life where you were heavily involved with them in their events.
Yeah, so that was right before we moved out. Mike was a guest at Loop Kicks, and then I think he like put Chris D onto me or something, and then they were like, yo, if you get out here, like we'll take care of you, you can be a special guest, like we got you. So I came out to 2012 Loop Kicks, met everyone, and then we came back for the Jam Gathering the next year, and that's when everyone was like, yo, move out here. And then we just did it. So we were just in the Bay, chilling with Loop Kicks, training.
Crazy. And so like how have you been able to, I guess, like figure out your own style? Was it always based upon like your own, body type and athleticism like we talked about? Or what do you think is a credit to why you focus more on like original combos and OCs comparative to a lot of the stuff that we see in the community?
Yeah, I think in the beginning it was a lot my body type. Like I was just heavy and I had a hard time flipping and twisting. But after a while, just like watching like all the people that I looked up to at the time, like Danny, Anise, Kyle McLean. Kyle was, still when I watch his old shit, like Kyle was my favorite tricker. Like I just loved the stuff he was doing. He was pushing the double variation, double twist stuff, like way before anyone was. Like he was doing the cool reverse pop transitions. So I would just like kind of try to just bite little things from here and there. And like there was a lot of style discussions back in the day, Mm-hmm. Like as much as there's like, why do people hate on this brand to this day? Back in the day, it was just like, if you're not kicking, you're not tricking. Yes. Style is how you do it, not what you're doing, all this stuff, you know what I mean? And like that really just had an impact on me. And also I think meeting Danny and Anise, like I met them at one of the New England Opens. They were there for a battle. And I got to meet them finally, and they were like the coolest dudes. Anis kind of like coached me through the battle, and I was like, oh my God, I was like fangirling, you know? But yeah, just like all the old school guys just really influenced me. Just like keeping the martial arts and the style in it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you think about the current state of tricking now? Because we're starting to see some pretty astronomical stuff as far as athleticism is concerned.
Yeah. All right. I'm probably gonna get a lot of flack for this. It's sick. Like the level is the highest it's ever been. It's nuts. Like the stuff that we would joke about is just being done on a regular. You know what I mean? But there's not a lot of people that stand out to me. Like back in the day, you could like watch a silhouette of someone, and you know exactly who's tricking. And if you put up 5 different silhouettes to me right now, I probably couldn't name a single one.
I feel you on that. That's something that I've always kind of said too, is like, we've lost that like original style, like that each person had, like where, I mean, you could definitely see his differences between Danny, and then like you would see the difference between Jeremy, and like, yeah, everyone kind of had like their own rhythm and tempo. Whereas nowadays, like you said, we're seeing like, from a difficulty standpoint, stuff that we used to joke about as like video game combos. But a lot of it is like, it's like copy paste, I guess, you know, like a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest thing to me is that like, or the like a really tangible difference is like I'll scroll through my Instagram feed and like I'll see tricking combos, and more often than not I'll just like watch the first couple clips or like first couple seconds. I'm like, all right, I know how this is going. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I know how this is going. Like when I have to stop on a clip and like rewatch it several times, I'm like, oh, okay, like this person stands out to me. Like I'm gonna follow them. But like that's few and far between these days, honestly.
Is there anyone you think in the modern day area that you watch or that captivates you at all?
Ethan is the GOAT. Like to me, he represents like the best merger of like the old school, just raw aggression style, just mixed with the highest level tricking stuff you can do right now. Yeah, like I know there's people who, you know, you can make the argument for like best in the world, yada yada, for other people, but to me, that kid is just doing it. He's doing it right.
I feel you on that, dude. Ethan is pushing the limits. It's crazy because he does kick, he's got the double flips, he's got all the variations of the twist, but he does like irregular transitions that a lot of people aren't always messing around with. So
yeah, definitely. Also, Dante Cook.
Yeah.
I feel like he's way more impressive in person.
Oh.
Like I got to see him at a couple events recently, and like I'd seen him online. I was like, damn, this kid's good. But when I saw him in person, I was like, yo, this kid has it. He's so fast. He's so strong. And he's never done a day of martial arts in his life.
Crazy.
Yeah, like look at his kicks. He's never done martial arts. When I found that out, I was mind blown.
That's wild. Yeah, one of the other people that I watch randomly that does some weird stuff here and there is like Yuto from Japan. Like some crazy weird stuff. Yeah. And then, yeah, obviously there's a bunch of people around the world that are still doing high level stuff, but yeah, I know what you mean as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, definitely.
And so like off the back end of that, like you used to be so heavily involved in everything from tricking gatherings to battles to being a part of like loop kicks and stuff. Where did you transition? Like, I guess eventually like there was like a part of your life where all of a sudden a switch went off where you started hitting like all your double variations too. Because I feel like that was something you didn't do for a long time. And then all of a sudden we started seeing like double B twist, full D leg gyro, and like all these moves started like coming out. Like what was the turning point, I guess, that made those all click?
Yeah, honestly, I don't really know. Cause like that all happened too, like right after I had the worst injury of my career. We were training really hard, like summer of like 2014. Like me and Alex Hunter would just train all day. Like we would go to the gym in the morning, then we would bike over to work, and then we would bike back to Twisters, because Twisters was like maybe a mile down the road from where we worked and taught karate.
Okay.
So like we would go in the morning, go to work, go back. We were doing 2-a-days for a while, and we were just getting really strong. But then at one of the sessions, I was like warming up on the tumble track, did a front full, came out weird, and I tore my meniscus and my MCL. Not full tear, but you know, bad enough. I was out for like 3-4 months. I had a full leg like robot brace. And then I just did the recovery of that, and when I came back, I was just better. I honestly don't know. Like, I didn't like even do crazy like workout change or diet change or anything. Like, I just recovered from this MCL injury, and I was just like, all right, I'm better now. I don't know.
Crazy. So crazy. And so like, obviously right now, like how often are you training these days comparatively to back in the day?
Like once every 3 months. Like my main thing is I'll trick at gatherings these days. You know, whatever gathering I'm at, I'll trick. But I'm just doing like so many other things, and like I'm older and I have a dog and a girlfriend and responsibilities, and like it's hard to find the time if you're not really trying to chase it and like it's your number one thing. You know, when I was really in tricking, that's all I was doing. Like that's it. I'd wake up, eat, work out, go trick. Like that's it.
100%, dog. And so like obviously along the lines of like that new stage of life right now, what are you mostly focusing on primarily now? Is it just music, and what are you doing?
Yeah, so right now just going in on music stuff. Started out with DJing. Like I just learned how to DJ first because like G Space started DJing, and then our homie Cody started learning how to DJ, and then I just picked it up too. And then from there, Isaiah has always produced music. Like Isaiah's been producing music since he was like a kid. And then he kind of put us onto Ableton, and I was like, oh, tight. Like I can just download this and start learning how to make music. Like, cool. So then kind of made the switch into learning production. But yeah, it's kind of changed over the last couple of years. At first, I thought I was just trying to like be a DJ and like just do that. But there's so many different avenues you can go, and there's so many different genres and ways to do music as a career that now I'm just trying to like get my eggs into as many baskets as possible.
And what's the primary focus? Production side, or what are you really focused on now?
Yeah, right now, I mean, production is like the majority of my day. Like I don't really need to practice DJing. I kind of get it, you know. Once you get it, it's pretty easy. So I just produce all day, send stuff out. But yeah, I have like several projects. So I want to tour as Hideaway, doing the Hideaway project. But that's kind of undergoing a change right now too. I might have to take that a different direction. But then also I have Caveman with Mike McGuire.
Yes.
And then that's gotten like some big traction in like the bass music scene, like the underground bass scene. And that's really what I love to play and like to make, you know, like I love making the weird whoopee sounds.
Yeah, I was gonna ask like what the meaning behind the Instagram Caveman Make Fire was.
Oh, so we just needed a duo name. We were already making music together, and I was like, yo, let's make it a group project. Like, let's actually do it and like give it a brand, you know? And then we just needed to come up with a name. And I was just sitting there and I was like, yo, what if we're the Cavemen? Because we make fire.
Yes. Hell yes, that's hilarious. And so like right now, is music able to like pay the bills? Like what are your ultimate goals with it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not like, you know, I wish I could just only do music and not have to worry about anything else, but it's definitely like I've gotten like a lot of cool opportunities. Like we just came off of like a little show run. Like we did Colorado, and then we were in New York for the Galaxy Gathering, and then I played with one of my homies up in SF. But now we're just kind of chilling and just trying to get the next booking and send out some more stuff. But I'm actually going to a show tonight with one of my friends who's playing on like one of the biggest dubstep festivals here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go out there and just see what's up.
Crazy. And how was that gathering that I saw you guys go to? It was like half music festival, half tricking gathering, right?
It's a really sick idea, man. Like I really hope they can pull it off even bigger and better next year, because like they literally just set up a spring floor at our stage. Like,
no way.
Yeah, there's several stages. So Grady was in charge of one stage through his record label Iceberg, and then he just brought out mostly just tricker producers or tricker DJs. Even Jaime Colon played the set.
No way, sick.
Yeah. Jaime played the set. So there's like a full lineup of like tricker DJs, and then they had the spring floor in the middle, and they had like special guest trickers. And the idea is like there's live visuals, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, yeah, so like you just have the nice sound system, you get like a full lineup, fully curated music day, but also you get to see people do insane flips.
Crazy. So crazy. And I know like one thing that we always see on like tricking forums and stuff online that I always see you tagged in is people complaining about the music that's played at tricking battles and at tricking gatherings. So what's your take on that?
My take is bring me out, man. We'll do it. We'll make it happen. I mean, yeah, it's not everyone likes to trick to the same stuff, you know? But I feel like for a battle, you generally need just like some fast, aggressive, like electronic music. Yeah, you can't have like a 30-second like rap music breakdown that goes super slow in the middle of like the hypest part of your gathering, you know?
Yeah.
So I mean, there are a lot of tricker DJs now. Like it's kind of insane. Like they're just popping up left and right. Like just trickers learning how to DJ or learning how to make music or vice versa. You know what I mean? But I think just as long as you have someone who knows the vibe, and even if it's just playing off your phone, just playing your Spotify likes or whatever, just make sure someone is on it. Like no break beats. We're not trying to trick the break beats. It's just not the move. If there's breaking, go ahead. But like it's a battle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%, dog. That's so funny. And so if people are interested in like bringing you out to events and stuff like that, like what's the best way to do that and go about it? Like, do you require a fee to go out there? Like what are you looking for anyone that may be interested in bringing you out?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, just hit me up. We can work out, you know, whatever the details are. Like ATG like brought us out, paid me my normal DJ rate. I DJ'd the entire night show, and it was really sick. You know what I mean? It was a good time. Good reviews all around. I got to play at Hooked during the prelims, like 2019 before the pandemic. Same thing, good feedback. But then I didn't get to play the night show. So, you know.
Hilarious, man. And it's kind of interesting. Like music tends to be something, I guess, that a lot of trickers get into, I guess. For someone that's like brand new and starting off, like what advice would you have for them, I guess, to kind of pursue the same thing you're doing?
I would say be disciplined. It's really easy in like a creative line of work to just kind of slack off or lose focus. You know what I mean? So I would say like the same way you approach like trying to get better at tricks, approach trying to get better at music and trying to push your career in the exact same way.
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as like an equipment standpoint, like are there any fundamentals that people need in order to start into this venture?
Yeah, so when I was first starting out, that was like a big thing that kind of held me back. I was like, oh, I need all this equipment. I need to get a keyboard and I need to get this and that. But honestly, you just need a laptop. That's all you need. You need a laptop, and as long as it makes sound, you can make music. You don't need that much. Like the more that I'm learning and like doing it for longer and longer, I use less and less equipment. I barely ever touch any of like my keyboards or anything.
Yeah, 100%. Crazy, man, crazy. And so this is something that, I don't know, maybe I'll cut it out just depending upon how you feel about it if you don't want to talk about it. But we try to always get both sides of the story on here. I feel like one thing that you've always been critical of online has been like Adrenaline's influence on the modern day tricking scene. Is there a reason behind that? Or I guess any thoughts of what you would view as your ideal company, I guess, to come into tricking? Or what would you like to see in the future in the community?
Yeah, I mean, my whole thing with Adrenaline's kind of personal. You know, there's some drama nonsense. I'm sure people know the story by now. But my whole thing right now is if you have all this money to throw at it and like you want to support trickers, then do that. I've seen a lot of different things. I've heard a lot of ex-Adrenaline athlete stories, you know, and that's just not what I'm seeing happening. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know what it's like now, but from what I can tell, not everyone's getting the same share of the pot, you know? I'm sure Mike is doing great. Mike's probably getting the brunt of it, but I don't think the whole team is getting that. And if it's supposed to be like a league, then that's cool. Present it as a league, but they present it as the best tricking team in tricking. So then why aren't you going out and battling every other tricking team? They battle each other. It's a small pool of one team, and they just battle each other. And then they have the worst judges of all time. That's always my gripe too. How did Reggie not win that battle? That's my piece on that.
That is a very controversial battle that a lot of people had very strong opinions about. I think I was actually there live for that one, to be honest with you. Like, I think I was there for that one. And so, yeah, it'll be interesting to see, like, I guess these next rounds of battles that we have coming up. I know that they have their event coming up right now, so I'm just going to get your hot takes on it, regardless of what you think with like the overall company. Mike versus Boeing, who do you got?
Mike, not a chance. Mike, like that's one of my issues with the event is put him against Jose already. That's the battle we want to see. We don't want to see any other battle. We want to see Mike versus Jose. You put anyone else in front of him, he's probably going to win. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or even Zen. Zen's on that level now. Put Mike against Zen. Yeah. If you don't want to go right to Jose right away, have him go through Zen first and see what happens. Because Zen held it down in that OMG battle. He beat the whole team, in my opinion.
I agree. Zen is a battler, bro. He loves it. Like he has that fire in him, and he'll just pull out crazy moves out of nowhere. Like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's kind of, you know, having Shosei. You know what I mean? Everyone's looking for Shosei. They like know like, oh, he's probably gonna win, so he's got more to prove. You know, that makes you hungry.
So the $1 million question, Mike versus Shosei, if it does happen, what do you think would happen, or do you have an opinion on it, or we'd have to see whose night it is?
Yeah, I think it really does come down to whose night it is. I've only seen Shosei fall in battle once. Yeah, I've seen him fall one time, and even then he came back real hard. So it's hard because Mike is so clean, and recently he's looked like the sharpest and strongest he's ever been, honestly.
For real.
So it really just comes down to like whose night it is and who the judges are, really.
Crazy.
If you have ex-NASA athletes judging, you know, they might not make the best call. And if
so,
you have a chiropractor judging, they're probably not going to make the best call.
As far as you're concerned, like someone that's been in the scene for as long as you have, like, do you think we'll ever see mainstream non-tricking sponsors into the sport? Or what do you think as far as tricking's growth in general? Because I know for a long time, like, it's always been viewed as like this very underground sport where for a long time people didn't even want it to go mainstream, for lack of a better term. They were almost like anti-mainstream, anti any publicity, wanted to almost like keep the community super small. What do you think about where it's at right now and where it's going?
I think I didn't want it to go mainstream. I was anti-mainstream for like a lot of my coming up in tricking, but if there's a way for it to happen, I would love for it to happen. But like, even with what adrenaline's doing right now, I've seen it before. Like I've seen UTL, I've seen Red Bull Throwdown, and you can call it history as much as you want and say all these things, but like, what's really changing for the athletes? And that's what I want to see. I want to see Shosei be able to get a free surgery if he gets injured chasing the world's hardest tricks. You know what I mean? I want to like see Mike be able to like do whatever he wants because he's been the best forever. And like, you know what I mean? Like that's where it needs to go, but it's hard to get it there because there's nothing to sell. Like professional sports have equipment and all this stuff. And like literally a big part of tricking becoming what it is today is kids going into their backyard and just figuring it out. So if it's that accessible and it doesn't require anything, it's kind of hard to sell. And if you want to sell battles, you're going to have to build that brand real heavy, and you're going to have to go outside of tricking to do that. And that's where no one's been successful, I think.
Yeah, one of the crazy things to see, because of how long I've been around too, is parkour is starting to get itself brought onto a much larger world stage right now with hopes of the Olympics for a lot of people. They're bringing it to a lot of gymnastics world events. They just had it at the World Games down in Birmingham, Alabama. And so it'll be very interesting to see because obviously breakdancing is making its premiere at the Olympic Games in the very near future. And that's one of the sports where I didn't think it would ever make it as well, like tricking, because it's so subjective. Like it comes down to a judging system. So who knows if that'll help like open up some doors from a performative and competitive side, because in my opinion, breaking is somewhat the closest parallel to tricking as far as a judging system. And I guess now with parkour and their freestyle events, you have that as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard for battles to be like the main selling point until we have a standardized judging system. Mm-hmm. Like that's a real big thing holding it back too, because like your judges are just whoever you pick at the event. You know what I mean? Like it's whoever's there or whoever you fly out and you're like, oh, can you judge? Can you judge? Like how many gatherings have you been to where you change judges at the last second?
Totally.
You know? So there needs to be standardized judging so that there's less debate and less subjectiveness. And when that happens, then, you know, maybe some different doors will open up for that avenue. But right now, it's real up to preference, you know? Whatever the judges are feeling that night is what's going to win.
I've asked a lot of the older school generation guys this question just to see your opinion on it too. Do you think that we'll ever hit a ceiling as far as level of difficulty? So for example, Nick Vale says that it may not be physically possible to go past 6 twists out of a full potentially. Who knows? Like, do you think we'll ever see quint cork, or do you think that we're going to hit this roof where eventually like the maximum amount of athleticism will determine like where our ceiling is? Because I never thought we'd see as many moves invented like Shosei brought into the world the last couple of years.
For real.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I used to think there was a physical limit, but then when the Shosei and Zen era started, I just kind of threw that out the window. Like just seeing all the weird variations and like the like whatever in tricks, like they did like raise in, you know what I mean? And even if it's like a shamp, like they've opened up this new axis, and like there's just so many more possibilities now. I think it'll get to a point where you'll need to upgrade the floors, is what I think.
Okay.
Because everyone that's been to Tundra says that it's like the softest, bounciest floor, and they have like some weird setup where it's like foam block and springs or something. Someone else can confirm that, but I've heard different things about that floor. But like when you hear that and then you see the way they're moving on that floor, it's like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think it'll reach a point where there will have to be bouncier, softer floors or something to continue pushing it. But like, we didn't think that anyone would do cork in, and then Tim Farley did it, and then people could just do it, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, the Tundra Floor is an interesting one. I talked to Taichi about what it is, and it's like a spring floor, but above the spring floor before the carpet, they have this like soundproof layer that's this like soundproofing foam, he said. And apparently that's what gives the extra bounce, because everyone that's been on it said it's the bounciest floor they've ever been on, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they like kind of pioneered some new spring floor technology there. So like maybe more gyms will start adopting that, and you'll just see the level skyrocket, you know?
Crazy. Hell yeah, man. Well, it's super interesting to see like where you've come and where you're going and stuff like that. So this is a question I always ask everyone. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
5 years from now, I see myself touring, working with a lot of different producers. I'll still be tricking. Like, you know, I'm never going to quit tricking. I still love to trick. I still love being able to do the stuff that I can still do. But it's very taxing on the body, and it's very much a young man's game, you know? You can trick super high level well into, like, your old age, I'm sure. Like, there's definitely people like Mateo is still killing it, like, oldest dub-dubber and stuff like that. And, like, I just saw Will Coney's at Galaxy Gathering. He's like in his 30s, and he's still tricking like Will Coney's, you know, like vintage Will Coney's. So like, it's possible, but I just don't have that fire for it anymore. It's just fun, but I'm not trying to be on the battle circuit and win tournaments and stuff. So like for me, it's a really fun thing to do with my homies now. But yeah, in 5 years from now, I see myself just doing music full time. Just doing flips on stage. That's always been something that I wanted to do. Anytime I get to play on the stage, I make sure to do a flip. You know what I mean? Gotta shout it out real quick. And then 10 years from now, hopefully I'm like retired in Vietnam or something, you know, with my dog and my girlfriend.
Crazy, dog. No, it's super wild to see. And like I said, it's just surreal to see the new wave of talent and how we've kind of like seen multi-generations where like, before we used to look up to this generation, and now it looks like you're part of that generation now where there's a new wave and people are looking up to stuff that happened in the past. And so cool to get your perspective on here and tell a little bit about your story and where you're going. And yeah, hopefully we'll all just like continue to see where your music career continues to take off and, you know, hopefully see some flips on stage.
Yeah, thank you, bro. Thank you for having me.
Hell yeah, man. So, yo, before we get out of here, can you just like let people know where they can continue to stay up to date with you and follow your own personal journey and Caveman and everything that you got going on in your life?
Yeah, so all my socials are Hideaway Beats, Instagram, Twitter, Hideaway Beats. All the Caveman socials are at Caveman Make Fire, one word, pretty easy to remember. But yeah, we got some cool stuff. We're in the works of releasing some stuff with some labels and stuff, so just keep your eyes peeled. Getting more bookings and stuff. We just got management, so let's just hope it keeps getting better.
Hell yeah, man. Super sick. More than anything, man, I really appreciate you coming through and all the support over the years. It's always been dope to see you as like a special event at all my events that I've thrown, from Trickstar to gatherings. And yeah, man, super curious and anxious to see what happens in the next stage of your life post-tricking, you know?
Yeah, thank you, man. I mean, you've always put me on, you know? You've always given me like a platform at Jam and like brought me out to the events, and I feel like that definitely gave me a push, especially when I moved out to California. So like, thank you, dude.
Hell yeah. Super dope, man. So yo, guys, with that being said, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand new episodes each every week. Join us every Monday for Jam Breakdowns and every Friday for a brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movement community like Nelson Zuniga himself. So that being said, guys, got to give him one more very special shout out. Thanks for coming through, dog. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, anytime, man. Let's do it again.
And as always, guys, coming through. I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here in another JAMCast. Till next time, we'll see you all soon.
Peace.
Here.